The power of the texture and the color and the art and what it did for me, I knew there was no other way. I knew that was what needed to happen, and I didn't really care at that point what it was going to take. I just knew that I was meant to be exploring in that way and sharing in that way, and I wanted to change other people the way I was changed in that moment, and I felt like we need more of this in the world. The journey began way before I started putting my art out into the world and making it a business. In fact, I never thought it was possible to have art as a business. I thought it was like a thing that was only for other people or for starving artists. I didn't think there was an in-between. But when I was really little, I struggled with dyslexia my whole life, and I always felt most at home in art class and with anything involving creating or exploring or visualizing. I loved seeing things. I loved if there was like a chart, I loved that. So we had a thing in our school called Picture Lady. And I was like in first grade, and these volunteers would come in and show us paintings and tell us about the artist. And I don't remember anything from first grade except that. And it stuck with me. It was just like, oh, I want to know more about that. But it was never really, it didn't become a thing until later, but it just inspired me. And there was a moment when I was living and working as an event planner in DC. And I was in this lobby of a hotel, and the hotel was a drab, but I was working and like overworked and burnt out. And I landed on this painting, and it just did a thing. It took me to a place I was all of a sudden like forgot where I was, shifted my mood, shifted my energy, and was full out inspired. And that artist was Maggie O'Neill, and I still admire her work. She's a self-made, just go-getter, beautiful work in DC. And I noticed in that moment how that art shifted me, and that I wanted that. Like I wanted to do that. And I studied her, and I studied other artists, and it took a hop, skip, and a jump in a few years, but I then had the courage to just try that for myself, because I was so changed in that moment, and I felt that connection from a very young age and knew that that was what I was supposed to do. So here I am. Stick assignment is my claim to fame. It's my favorite story about myself. And, you know, people often ask, oh, where did you go to art school? Like, where's your art degree? Like, who trained you? I'm like, I was self-trained. I have no degree. This was all created, and it all started with a stick. And while there are layers to the story of my, childhood, there was a very pivotal moment that shifted my being that I love sharing, because it definitely informed where I am today. So in high school, I was your like classic perfectionist, straight A, but I had to really work hard for those straight A's, by the book, probably like a little goody two shoes, and dressed to the nines, matching outfits, matching shoes, the whole dig. And I had an art teacher who saw through all that. Like, he was like, I'm not buying this. And he saw a light in me that I wasn't quite ready to see. And he gave me this assignment. And being the perfectionist, I like wanted to know the full assignment, but he was very vague about it purposefully. And he said, I'll never forget it. He said, tomorrow I need you to come in and wear something you don't really care about. I was like, first of all, I care about all my outfits. Secondly, that's it. I was like, what does this mean? Secondly, he really wanted to get me stirred. And the next day I came in like so annoyed. I was so mad at the situation. I liked knowing what was happening. Not knowing what was about to happen really bugged me. And I walked in, he looked at me, he gave me a blank canvas and some paint, and said to me so profoundly, I need you to go outside and don't come back until you find a piece of your soul. I was like, what? What is that? I was so annoyed by this assignment. I thought he was crazy. I thought, this is so dumb. And it's hard for me to tell this story without moving because it was very embodied. And I went out there begrudgingly against this man's ask. I started to play in the paint. I found some sticks, which is the sticks, and I dipped it in the paint and I started just playing. At first it was like, this is stupid. And then before you knew it, I was like throwing the paint, using it with my hands. I was like covered from head to toe. I was crying, I was laughing, I was inspired, I was lost, I was found, I was all the things. And then I got it. I was like, that's what he was talking about. That is exactly what he was talking about. And for that moment in time, I found a piece of my soul. Something ignited, something went off like a firecracker within my whole being that changed the trajectory of my life. I was still resistant to the art thing. I was like, I'm still not going to art school. but there was something very much alive in me about that. It was a freedom in that, a freedom of the shackles that I had been just so stricken to for years. And at the time I was also struggling and suffering with a crippling eating disorder that held me back from so much light that I didn't recognize then, which is also something he saw and something I captured in that moment without even realizing that I've used still today as a healing modality for myself and hopefully for others. So from that, I went on with life, again, back in the shoulds, like went to college, did the shoulds, didn't get an art degree, just did my thing and graduated, did that thing. And then I had another stick moment. I was part of a project with a bunch of people setting up for this event, and I was in charge of the decor. And I had this vision of like, okay, I'm gonna get some sticks and some tarps and some paint and have these volunteers just like splatter paint all over the place, and that's the decor, perfect. And I was so excited, and everyone was excited, it was a big thing. And amidst that time, in the middle of that, like I think it was the day before my dad passed away. So it just put a hold into my whole being. It was so sudden and so tragic at the time, and it just rocked me to my core. But I was determined to still throw that paint with that stick, and that same feeling ignited again. And it was yet just so much more palpable that time, and a calling for, this is something more. This is keep going with this, keep throwing the paint. And from that, I used his tools when he passed away as my tools. I used them, it was very intimate, very private. I wasn't yet showing my art to the world, but it was very much the beginning as my therapeutic inner work that I didn't realize I was doing. I saved his tools, I valued them. I knew I wasn't gonna actually build anything with them, but I used them as paint tools. So to just play with the paint and to be with the paint and to express myself in that way, and that informs my work today. I barely use brushes, I use tools. I had no idea that I was actually using this art as a healing modality all these years. And it wasn't until I met Kelly Anders who introduced me to yoga therapy, and I went into a deep dive on that, which then changed my life entirely and opened my eyes to just that, to like, wow, I have been doing embodied art all these years, and it has been a healing mechanism for myself and so powerful. And here I then have all this art to show for it, but that's not the case. It's the art, like I said, when I first started, isn't anything I would show because it is so personal and so vulnerable, and for me. But yes, that 100% informed it, and it was later on that I was able to understand that and to put all the pieces together, that with that stick, that's what I was doing. And to be able to now open that window to share it with others is so incredible, and that is what I've been exploring recently. My art with others is so very different than like an art class. You know, I'm not going to teach you how to draw a thing, or I'm not really going to teach you a technique. I'll show you some ideas, but the goal with Embodied Aesthetics is that it is very a personal experience where you're allowing through an embodied way to touch and feel what is inside of you and to express it. And once you express it, then you have this tangible thing just for you that shows you what was alive in you. And then it gives you something to mirror, something to resonate with, and then hopefully have some peace around. So every session is different. It really is so intimate and so personal that one way that or no way. It is all about the individual. But in general, it is a place to connect with the individual and to see what's on top and to share and to get to know that person and find out what's alive in them, what they're ready to express, and then to give them a lot of freedom in my studio through guided prompts and different mediums for them to explore. And it's very personal, it's very private. And then after, we have a conversation about what just happened. And so the individual feels caught afterwards. So you're not just left stranded with all this expression. You have a place to place it and then to reflect upon it. And the goal is that there's layers of your being revealed for you each day and how you're willing to show up. And I'm just here to guide you along the way. We can talk and talk and talk, and sometimes it's just a state change, a way to do something different. It is what I like to call wordless words. That's what I realized, and I've seen it through the people I've worked with, that they might not know what is bothering them or what is on top, but they know. And they know, but the words are too much. They're just too much. So being able to express it in that way with no judgment, it's not like going on a show, it's not going on Instagram, it's just for you, reveals without words so many layers. It's every day I come in here, there's a blank canvas, and it's intimidating and it's a little scary, but it's also so revealing. And I don't know what's going to come out. Sometimes it's very poignant depending on the situation, but it's a blank canvas every day. And truly, life is a blank canvas every day, and it's about how we go about it. And some days it might be splattered, some days it might be really smooth, some days it might be all over the freaking place, and some days it might be really calm. But I get to play in that realm, and I feel it's such a gift that is my job. I get to play that way and to play with others in that way, and then to have them experience the art just by viewing it in that light.
Like very obvious circle spots of when you can actually step into that.
Oh,
so you're kind of like floating. You could go back or
it's interesting. The wave goes back a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like getting in the portals in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so
this
cool.
is the portal. I did that all
embodied.
I stood. I mean, I did the straight and then I sat in it and
so cool.
Circled because I felt like that was important.
And then it was claiming it.
Yeah, actually being in it.